Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Talking Horses. Greg Wolf and Andy Serling joining you on a Friday. Gorgeous day today. Track is fast now, so we're happy to have it dried out, and we'll hope we can beat the rain tomorrow. It's up in the air. It's not clear when it's
I'm just going to enjoy today, one day at a time.
I agree. I'm with you.
It is beautiful. Walking into work today, though, yeah, it was beautiful.
I know. It's a good time of the year. As we get closer to April, April's the one month when I haven't yet started to get worried that it's going to be November soon and the weather's going to turn. I really enjoy like April into May, and then I start getting neurotic by June.
Well, there's been a couple Mays here where it's been horrific weather.
There have been some very cold, well, we only know it because of our outdoor studio at Belmont, where we used to have to go outside every day and freeze. I still have a picture of you wrapped up in a blanket. There was one show that Greg and I did, and we were on late. I think we were on to like 6 or 6:30, and it was so cold that we wouldn't even let them show us on TV because we both were like under electric blankets, basically.
Heaters, electric blankets.
Yes, up there. Yeah, there was some cold days. But anyway, we're looking forward to getting back to Belmont in probably around June of 2026.
I miss it there. I really miss it. I love it here. I miss our opportunities to be at Belmont. And hopefully everyone's seen the new renderings that came out of what it's going to look like when it opens in 2026. But just a really exciting time in our sport.
It is, absolutely. I think one of the nice things about going also is that you're here for 6 months in those times, and then you get to Belmont, and the weather starts getting nice, and it's fine. Obviously, we have great affinity for Belmont, but we are all very excited about the drawings, and I obviously can't wait. It'll be a little over 2 years, and it seems like a long time now, but 2 years can go pretty quick.
Did you ever see Spinal Tap?
Yeah, but only once a long time ago. They're making a Spinal Tap too.
Well, they wanted a set of actual life-size pieces of Stonehenge, and he wrote down inches instead of feet. So hopefully we get all the numbers right and everything. We build it to size, and we don't have a Spinal Tap issue.
Yeah, that would be a problem. It'd be a problem if after 2 years Belmont was that big. I think we'll be okay on that one. Anyway, head over to Naira Bets on that note. Use the promo code BONUS200, and we'll match the $200 of your initial deposit. Well,
what's going on?
I was reading my phone.
Yeah.
We're not supposed to come back on camera. That's why I'm supposed to be able to look at my phone. What happened, Eddie? Thank you for that. At least
Off to a raging start.
At least we weren't naked, so it could have been a lot worse. After you logged into Naira Bets, you can check out track stats. Check them out, whether you're joining or haven't joined or are joining. Check out the track stats over at nairabets.com. We have, I'm not sure what's next. What's next will be another picture of my apartment. Cross Country Pick 5, races 6, 7, and 8 here, and 7 and 8 Oaklawn. Of course, all those races will be shown on America's Day at the Races.
By the way, I think yesterday, so there was one horse, and you had to know how the track was playing.
But you knew by the 6th race, there's a good chance. 3 to 6:30.
All logical, basically favorites, and then the lone speed.
The $18.
$1,100.
No kidding.
Cross Country Pick 5. Incredible.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we talked about that horse in the last race quite a bit. And obviously nobody really cared what we had to say because we're still paid $18. Anyhow, okay, you can get that off, Eddie. You don't have to make up for it too much. We're back. Race number 1. We'll take a look at Your Forever on the outside. The first race this horse ran, went second to Progeny, and then was just in way too tough off the claim for Robbie Falcone. And this horse is going to be 8 to 5 is a pipe dream. I imagine this horse is going to be very, very short. I could be wrong. Maybe the Gary Siaka horse, Firster, is a big story and will remain getting bet. But my guess is that these two will be separating by post time, and I'm not trying to beat this horse. Sorry.
And not just that this one was in maiden special weight and was quick and was on the lead. This horse, both starts, even that first start where it shows the horse wasn't on the lead, she was easily the quickest out of the gate in that race. I mean, she has super sharp gate speed. We know how this is the thing we got to pay attention to early on too, because speed was so dominant late yesterday.
But it's a fast Harrow track, and it was but still, yes, there's no question. You do have to remember how well Speed did yesterday. I agree, even though the track is theoretically completely different.
But regardless, I mean, this is
Speed's pretty good
so
on the
much
dirt
the
anyway.
horse to beat. Yeah, I'm with you. I think this one's going to be odds on.
Yeah, and a natural fact to me, you have third is my other horse. You obviously got the big tip on Gary Siaka. That's why you have that one second. A natural fact I actually thought got left last time and didn't run that badly, but would have to take a big step forward to beat the favorite. What do you have some big pedigree on the son of Golden Lad?
I didn't love. I mean, natural fact I guess is the other one to use, and
Dude, that horse can't beat him, so I'll take a first-time starter.
You don't know. You see a couple of quick works, including that Bullet Drill. This horse could have some real talent for relative to this group. So I thought, why not take a shot with a new face?
Okay. Yeah, I
mean,
get
quickest to 42 Bullet Drill last time leading into this. We'll see.
All right, race number 2. Race number 2, Sister Linda, who we both have second, is the horse, Mount Rushmore, by the way. I never tire of Mount Rushmore.
Gulfstream, yeah.
Opening at Gulfstream. They must have a satellite track in South Dakota. She's the speed. She's a drop down. She's the horse to beat. But like you, I cannot put her on top.
I don't trust this horse.
Yep. She'll probably win,
in any
but
way.
I could never bet her or recommend betting
She's
her.
the horse to beat. I actually think the 6s can get the lead in here.
She can't.
I think she can.
She can't. Unless
So
the
we'll,
four
we'll
falls
find
coming
out.
of the gate.
I think she can. Ruben Silvera's aggressive. She's actually
He
shown
is.
speed sprinting before. I know Time Form has Sister Linda first. I think the 6 is going to be in front. If she can do that, and she has a quick drill too with those blinkers coming off leading into this, which makes me think they are going to be aggressive and try and go for the front.
But she also has blinkers off.
That's what I said.
You think that's an indication they want to get more speed out of her? Okay.
No, it's an indication that horses with speed, when they take blinkers off, if they go to the front, they get in the front, they relax, and they can
Okay.
keep on going further, especially with the stretch out from 6 furlongs to a mile.
Form has just completely fallen apart, though.
It has. But that's why I love that equipment change, because
huge
it
price.
allows you, especially if you're forward, to get out there and just be more free and relaxed and not stressed and finish better. That's what that equipment change does, especially sprinting, stretching out, and going a longer route of ground. But if she gets pressured by the 4, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, listen, I'm not knocking a big-priced horse in this race where I think the 4 is extraordinarily vulnerable, because the reality is if the 4 doesn't win this race, I think I'm not going to say anything is possible, but it's pretty close to being
Yeah.
possible.
Maybe not the 5.
I'm not going to argue. The 5's a little tough to make. I agree. And in fact, the 5 is the only horse that I actually have thrown out of this race.
Yeah.
I have nobody else as a throw out in here. I mean, Joey the Fish, we'll take a look at Joey the Fish winning 2 back. Joey the Fish can win this race, because the reality is, from a speed figure standpoint, even the loss last time against better horses is probably fast enough to compete. And the thing is, in his improved Joey the Fish for Randy Persaud, he's had a little more speed. And this was a sprint coming from way out of it. Maybe she won't be that far back. Now, I don't particularly love her, but Randy Persaud's horses have been running extremely well this winter, and I don't want to discount a horse that at least you can say is this horse is in sort of career form, which is kind of a plus in a race like this.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's no stars in this field. The favorite, as we said, is major question marks and just going the wrong way right now, so that there's no one to fall in love
Claimed
with.
for 16, drops in for 10.
Yeah.
It's just so negative. 32, 16, claimed in for 10. It couldn't be more negative. And if you're right about the 6, then the 4's in trouble.
And this is not in the 2. Back to your 2. She's not just a closing sprinter. She's been effective.
Going
longer.
longer, yes. In fact, that was her really only effective race sprinting. Holiday Jazz. I actually thought her race against Halo City was okay. I know she was kind of picking up pieces, but she ran well enough. And the reality is, while she didn't run well last time, she really got kind of eliminated the break and sort of rushed up. It was a much better field she was running against. She's consistently run buyers. I know a lot of them at Finger Lakes, but even a race 2 back, the 62 here, that puts her in the mix here. And I was looking for an alternative to Sister Linda. You've been a lot more clever than I have, and you found a horse.
Well,
I've got
we'll
kind
see.
of the logical other horse. It's funny. I was talking a little with David about a Braceable Gal. You have 4th and I have Nowhere. And my friend Steve Krista asked me, why did David make this horse such a short price? And David's point was, well, I don't know. Who are you supposed to take in there? At least she's hit the board in her last couple of starts. And he's normally right, so I'm not going to, if he says she's going to be a short price, I would side with him. I just don't see what's appealing about her. She just looks too slow to me.
At least, she's not one of these 2 for 32,
She's heading there, but
it's somewhat limited starts. You can forgive the first couple of starts. At least she's hitting the board, picking up checks the last couple of efforts. And it is going to be 4-year-old debut coming back, so theoretically she could move forward a little bit for this first start.
But this is an open claiming race, and she's been in conditional claiming races. I know it's an open 10. Listen, I don't like her,
But
I hope she takes money.
yeah.
I hope David's right and she takes money, because I think it makes everybody else. She probably, in my opinion, she eliminates the takeout from the exacta personally.
Okay.
I mean, listen, you picked her 4th. It's not like you love her.
No, I don't.
Yeah, and I didn't like her at all. Race number 3. I thought the 3rd race was a very, very interesting race. And it also brings up an interesting conversation. You've got Claire Quilty, the character from Lolita, and Pricing Power coming out of the same race, as well as Bolt de Plata, who I think had all the best of it, making that last outside run. The reason that I have Pricing Power on top is that he wasn't right on the rail, but he spent enough time near the rail in this race. And this was that weird day on the 9th of February where there's an argument that the rail got dead for the last few races. And this is the race kind of on the cusp of it. And we did see the Whistler's horse come back and win off a dead rail trip. The other horses haven't been back. And I felt like getting the outside post, and Pricing Power also got left in this race and had to rush up. And now gets an outside post and gets the more comfortable trip. I think Claire Quilty ran very well in there, but I think with the change in posts and a theoretically fair track, I prefer Pricing Power of the two.
This horse is incredibly dangerous. As you said, did not break well in that race, rushed up off, year and a half layoff. This horse breaks sharper today. There's a very good chance this horse is gone. Having said that, I really like that first out performance from Claire Quilty. This horse wasn't that far off that lead early on and then sort of dropped back a little bit. But
I thought this horse ran very, very well. It looked like a turn, the horse might be backing out.
Exactly.
I agree.
And then came again. There's just so much upside. That was the debut for this horse. The Heroes Medal, if you haven't watched that race, that closed that day.
And he didn't run
horse
that badly, finishing third or fourth in the subsequent start, and the race dominated in the front end with better horses.
Factually correct, Radio Red ran that race.
Yeah, that horse actually legitimized the race. I agree. I'm not against the one. I just prefer the 6.
They
will
both
be a better price.
Absolutely, especially with a sharp break. The 6 is probably the horse to beat, but I like the upside with Claire Quilty. Concerned with the inside post for Claire? Or no?
I'm not concerned. I don't really worry about those things that much. It's a mile race. Now, a question maybe is stretching out. Which horse will be better stretching out?
Yeah. Geez, I don't know. I like that finish from Claire Quilty.
I mean, looking at the two of them, I don't really know. I don't have the answer for that. But my friend Steve has sent me a useless piece of information pertaining to this race that I actually know. I think the horse he's talking about is running tomorrow.
Bolt de Plata at all?
I don't like that horse at all. I thought the 1 and 6 did so much more running in that race. And I think people are going to see Bolt de Plata and they're going to say, oh, it's a mile, he's a closer. Has he just had enough chances?
The one thing I'll say, at least slowly and steadily getting better and better and running better figures. I
think his better figure last time was because of the trip he got, personally.
Okay.
What about Egypt? I mean, look at Egypt's last race. I know it was in December, but I don't know. I mean, he's not that bad. I mean, is he really that far behind the favorites?
No, and we keep thinking, well, a sharp break from Pricing Power, and this horse is going to be dangerous in the lead. The 4 and the 5 both have speed too, so there could be a bit of a duel up front. And if there is, it would be beautiful for this horse, wouldn't it?
It would definitely help this horse if they're moving up front. We'll see how quickly they go, but I do think you're right. And Logan Required is another one that's going to be potentially engaged in the pace in this race. I don't think he ran that badly last time out. Not great, but not terribly. And does have races that are good enough, and maybe getting back to a fast track, even light the way, isn't impossible. I mean, honestly, this is a fairly competitive field.
It is.
It's not like the 1 and 6 have to win. You like Bolt de Plata more than I do.
I like the Chad Brown runners the best, though.
Okay, we'll see what happens in race number 3. Race number 4, speaking of Chad Brown, you've got a big drop down in reserve currency. I got a stat for Chad Brown. First time for a tag on the dirt. These numbers are outstanding. 36%,
Wow.
218 ROI at NYRA. He's got a 217 ROI, and he wins at, I think, 37% at NYRA. So the numbers, he's 27 for 73 at NYRA. So it's not like he's done this winning out of town. And I just feel like he's a horse, broke a little slow last time, was in a much tougher race. And I just feel like he's the right kind of horse in here. But my question a little bit, it helps Maggianera, is with the 7 scratching, there's really no speed. And Maggianera is going to be more forward than reserve currency.
The 7 was going to be so dangerous, I thought, today.
He was controlling speed if he got out of the gate, that's for sure.
So that horse,
So Collect for Mike is the speed now?
The 4 looks like you're right, yeah. This horse doesn't seem good enough,
How is
right?
he going to beat
Even if there's
both?
a major bias.
How is he going to beat both the 1 and 2? There has to be a major inside speed bias, and that horse get loose on it for both the 1 and 2 to lose to that horse. Maybe one of them will, but
No.
they just seem so much better than the horses, don't
I
they?
agree with you. With reserve currency, it's going to be such a short price with this horse. And it's not just that last start. This horse has had a couple
Oh my God, he's 3-5 in the line. I didn't realize
Yeah.
that. Okay.
problems starting to become habitual getting out of the gate.
I'll be honest with you. If David's right about those odds, I'd rather take Maggianera.
Yeah.
If he's 7-2 and the one is 3-5, I would take Maggianera. I never considered.
And you're
I thought
not-
they'd be around 6-5 and 2-1
Yeah.
personally, but maybe I'm wrong.
You're not
Well,
supposed to run in a 40 NTL race and face someone that runs a 99 buyer either, as Maggianera did last time out against Mandatory.
I agree.
So
I
you
bet
look
him
at that
last time.
second beat, what,
Pissed.
12 3/4. There was a outlier in
He ran fine.
yeah, ran very good. In fact, the number this horse got from thoroughgraph wise is quicker than any number of reserve currencies ever run.
Really? I needed him for a lot of money last time. but
And
thank you
has
for
run that same number, by the way. That was second off how long? Since a 6 to 8 month
that.
layoff?
I like this horse. I never imagined there would be this
Yeah.
kind of disparity in the prices. I'm going to
Yeah.
believe it when I see it. I agree the one's going to be favored. I do not think there's supposed to be a big disparity in their prices. But the drop down for Chad Brown, he's probably right.
Yeah.
I mean, he's always
But
right.
again,
so.
yeah, that number the horse ran last time out, second off the bench, had run that number 3 times before last year, which is the strongest figure in the field.
Yeah, no, I think it's very close between these two, to be honest with you. And if you see that, now I'm sure he had Uncle George at like 5-2 or something, or 2-1 here. I'm assuming he was the second choice. Brings him down a little bit, but that would also bring down reserve currency. I think if there's a big price discrepancy, the two's a better bet. I would use both of them.
I was a little intrigued by the 6. What did you think with Wanna Winna?
That he cost me a lot of money, but I was happy for you because you didn't use my horse Friday in Love last time. I don't think he's good enough, and you're asking a horse to improve off that trainer change, and
Yeah.
I'm not going to bet on that happening.
Yeah.
But he's the third horse in here, especially with the 7 scratching out. We'll take a break. We'll be back with the late pick 4.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
Welcome back, Greg Wolf and Andy Serling. To get back to the reference in the third race, there was a horse that was on the rail in the race that Pricing Power was in that came back on Sunday and won.
Oh, okay.
All right, race number 5. I see you and I have the same idea in race number 5. Complete Agenda is going to be a heavy favorite in this race. And his last race was very good. In fact, just good enough to cost me a lot of money nipping the third place horse for second. But I got to tell you something. We'll show you a stat for Rob Atras coming back on short rest. It's not a huge sample size, but it's not a great number. And this is hardly the kind of horse that I want to trust at a short price, Greg.
He
He's the horse-
he
he's the horse to
deserves
beat.
to be way the horse to beat. He's coming back though, yeah, in 8 days off. Certainly of late, the last 5 or 6 starts, by far the biggest figure he's run. So you got to gamble. Is he going to do that coming back? Here's that stat you're talking about.
Yeah, it's not a great stat for Rob coming back on short rest. He's found the right field to do it in.
Yeah.
He runs a semblance of that race. He's probably going to win this race. It's very hard to be overly optimistic about any of the others except for the wild card that we took. And before we show a stat on Milano, why don't you talk about why you liked Milano? We'll show the stat afterwards.
So I thought this horse actually was getting really good last year before he went to the bench, in races specifically out of town, Laurel and then Parks. He ran a huge figure at Parks, and then he was off. Yeah, that was a victory too. Yeah, from what was that, January?
It was a 13-month layoff.
Yeah, I thought he actually ran pretty good coming back.
He didn't
got a
run badly in
decent
that
figure.
race. I agree.
Winner of that race has won 2 straight with a 64 and then a 75 buyer. The second place finisher improved 13 buyer points. His next start in a restricted allowance race, actually.
And even the third horse, if you look at his prior races, is a little better than the figure he ran in general. But go ahead. I mean, I think
Yeah, okay.
I think it was a good race he's coming out of.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think there's every right to think second off the layoff. I mean, that was just I need this race coming back race. Every right to think he's going to improve second off the layoff.
And then we'll show you the stat. That's a pretty good segue. You didn't even look up the stat. Look at this. Second off a
Wow.
250-day plus layup in a dirt route. 9 for 30. 217 ROI. So that was kind of interesting. And I agree. I mean, to me, if you want to bet against the 5, this is the only horse I can take.
Yeah.
So,
But having said that, repeat of the last race from, well, I don't even know. If Milano can improve a little bit, he's in the mix. Even if Clemita Jenna runs back to what he did last time out, I think.
no, but I'm saying if you're
Yeah.
trying to beat
Yeah.
the 5, I don't know where else you're going to go. I mean, David has the entry 3-1. And, I mean, I'm not sure what you're supposed to like about Predicted, who couldn't beat. I mean, he was a length behind Complete Agenda, but Complete Agenda really took a step forward for Rob Atras. And Union Lights, okay, but I don't know.
Flash Kiss, decent number last time out, but was that a day the
terrible
rail was
field.
not very good, right?
I think so. That was also a terrible field, and he was just the last time was the time horse. I'm all 4s and 5s here. If somebody else wins, I'm going to lose. Race number 6. I am not trying to beat Best Bet. You are. We'll go back to June of 2022 to show you how tough it is in this game. This horse looked pretty good breaking his maiden. There have obviously been a lot of problems, but the reality is, I get it. I don't love the drop downs. For what it's worth, at Naira, 50% drops in claiming prices on the dirt. Brad Cox is 5 for 11 with a $3.03 ROI.
Can I just throw this out there, and maybe I'm just being ridiculous? When you're taking that big of a drop from this kind of, shouldn't it even be better? I mean, it's a massive drop this horse is taking. Maybe I'm being ridiculous.
Well, I
But my
mean, he's
point
5
is-
for 11 with a $3 ROI. So there were horses that paid, a total of $33. There were horses that were paying almost $7. So
Yeah.
they're not super short prices. I mean, my problem is, I cannot possibly bet the horse that you're betting. I will never, ever, ever forgive Ice Road for that lost 3 back, ever. He just doesn't want to win. Listen, he's a bigger price today. It's fine. I'm just saying, for me, his lost 3 back is one of those things. He's in the unforgivable category.
Yeah, that was
That was an embarrassment.
heart-wrenching. I'll say that, look, last time out against 19 Oysters, I thought that was an unusually good 16 N2L race.
It was.
19 Oysters had dropped out of, I know it was a long layoff.
You're right. Blue Plate
I couldn't
Specials
believe that horse was 5-1.
No, you're right.
The inside was very good that day. He was running against the bias in that race as well.
Yep,
And
I agree.
you look at
He's also getting back to a dry track, and he hasn't. His best
Exactly.
race on a dry track was
Yeah.
his best race, so he's getting back to the right surface. I see all of that.
And-
I just can't. He can win. I can't bet this horse.
And don't you look at Best Bet, and to me, you see that comeback on December 16th for Best Bet off the bench. I actually thought the horse ran pretty good against Disarmed, who ran, what is it? I'm trying to read my writing here. Who's won 3 of 4. Ocean's Reserve, who's had
I
some big wins
agree.
and performances.
Here's the
Why'd they
problem.
give up so quick on this horse?
Because he's a 6-year-old now who was on the shelf for a year and a half, so he's clearly got issues. Brad Cox.
Doesn't have room
You've
in
heard
the
of this.
barn.
You've heard of this guy, Brad Cox, right? He won the Eclipse Award a few times. He's got like all the good Derby, Derby and the Oaks horses. I think with these barns, sometimes at this point, and he's a 6-year-old,
Move on.
it's kind of like you got to move on. I mean, they ran him for 75 maiden, so it's not like they didn't kind of know. So I get it, and he's coming out of that. I mean, you're talking about Maggianera. He's coming out of a crazy tough race.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, he's a 3 to 5 morning line that I picked. I'm not proud of it. I have no problem if you're taking somebody else. I'm just disgusted by Icy Road, even though I understand that he can win.
Yeah.
I'm not, and I'm certainly not going to sit up here and say you're an idiot if you're betting against Best Bet. I don't bet on these horses in general, but I can't pick anybody else. I can't take Ice Road, even though there are reasons to take him. Maybe Hone, second off a layoff for Rob Atras. What do you think?
At least
he
early
ran
on,
really
he
well
showed
last
talent.
time. He ran terrific last time. I mean, I bet him last time. He ran a big
Did
race.
he cross a wire yet? I don't think so.
Big race. So I put him second. I hear you with Ice Road. You're not wrong. I'm just not trying to beat this horse here.
Okay.
But I'm not proud of those picks. I've got 2 3 to 5s picked on top. I did not think the reserve currency was that short, but I'm wrong. So I don't know
Ugh.
about you, but I spent about 45 minutes to an hour trying to decipher this 7th race.
Great race.
And
Was.
if Rudy hadn't scratched two, Rudy, two. He hadn't scratched 2. They hadn't scratched the speed, the 7. Writers regret he has entered on Sunday, to be fair. But this is just a completely different race. that it was supposed to be, and we'll show your horse on top, Market Alert. I mean, to be fair, he kind of got gifted the race last time out, but he ran really well 2 back, and he is in good form, and I don't think he's the horse to beat, but he's the one in the best current form.
Yeah, I mean, it had legitimate trouble in that race 2 back, which I thought kind of stood out. At least I like the fact, too, he was forward going a mile. Now the cutback here, he's going to have plenty in reserve here to finish up and at this 6.5 furlong distance. Look, he was my, I like the 9 way best in here, not even close. I like the 7 quite a bit as well. Both those horses scratched.
I like the 4. We had all sorts of different ideas in here.
Yeah.
It was a very interesting race. Until the scratches came out.
Yeah, it's still, there's still, I think the 5 is interesting because he has some races to go back to.
He does.
But off those last couple of starts, I think Market Alert now becomes the horse to beat.
I believe that Amundsen's going to win this race. I don't trust him. I obviously don't like he had avoided claim, and he's dropping down, and there is certainly a possibility that it's over for him. He did run against a gold rail last time, and he was wide in there, and they just basically gave up on him, and the fact that Kendrick is back on him, I thought was a positive sign. I think he's the likeliest winner here, but I would use 1s and 3s. I'm not. I agree. The 3 could be a finished product. And if the 3 is a finished product, then the 1 is going to probably win.
I used to love Amundsen. I mean, I still do. I just don't know if he's the same Amundsen. Yeah.
Oh, there's a big question. I kind of felt they gave up on him a little last time, and he was against the track. But having said that, they gave up because he had given up. It's not like, it just was like he wasn't running last time, but he was against the track. That was a much better field. I'm going to give him one last chance. But I also scratched into him, and I agree with you with the 1. I think he's the other horse. I can't take the others. Bronx Bomber never wins, and he got the right trip last time, and he could not hold on. I hear you on Warrior's Revenge. I've got him 3rd by default, but his form may be kind of declining on him, too. And I just don't see Tommy Gunn winning. His form has fallen apart. He couldn't even make the lead last time. This is a world of better race than he's been in. So unless Livelita Shimongol can just revitalize him.
Yeah.
And she does, her horses seem to run, so I'm not going to be shocked if he runs better, but I don't see it happening.
And we brought it up off air, too. Last 2 races, Manny Franco being replaced by Isaac Castillo.
Yeah, and you said to me, I wonder if Manny had to catch a plane. I'll just text him and ask him.
Yeah.
I don't know. If he's riding at Tampa tomorrow, or
I looked at Tampa. It's a couple of
could
races.
he be
I didn't see it.
Gulfstream?
Maybe.
No, he's at Oaklawn. We didn't look because you didn't cover the races. He's riding that Brad Cox horse in the
comparative.
He's riding the comparative in the Azari, so that's where he's going.
Okay.
Bringing the whole family again this time, Manny? He had the whole family there last time. Made a big trip out of it. That's where he is, so thank you. That must be what it is. He has to get the flight. Maybe it's that one. Aren't there like 1 or 2 direct flights to Little Rock from LaGuardia now? Eric took it.
Really?
Yeah. Goes back. Maybe he had to get that in that.
I hate the stress of trying to make
switch flights.
Well, no, working and then rushing to make a flight.
I am, as you know, one of the world's more neurotic people, and I flew back on Easter Sunday from Nebraska a bunch of years ago. I'd been at Horseman's Park, and I had to get a flight to Charlotte, and it was supposed to be like an hour. Well, the plane just sat on the tarmac when we landed, and so I had like 20 minutes to get there. And of course, my flight was landed at one end, and I was on a totally other thing. I was literally, running through the airport thing, and like just got on the plane. Yeah, it was a stressful experience. That's why when I've gone to Oakland, I flew to Memphis direct and drove from Memphis.
We should do a radio show or a podcast one day and talk about our nightmare flying experiences.
Well, you had the Seattle one. This was the Seattle one?
That's one of many, yeah.
Well, you probably traveled.
Another one on the Keeneland show we did. I had to work Major League Baseball whip-around show, have a cab waiting for me, get to the airport, barely made it, got in at, I think, 10 in the morning. Almost overslept because I wanted to lay down for a half an hour before I came to the track.
Well, the real imposition of that one is that Simon and I had to sit at the desk when you should have been sitting there getting ready for you. So we were the ones who suffered as a result. I am looking forward to today's 8th race because I have my more idiotic opinion in this race. And I was joking with David Aragona about this the other day because he picked him as well. And I said, the one thing I knew on this card was you and I were going to pick the same stupid horse in the last race today. And that is the number 8, Jansen. And I have absolutely no confidence that this horse can run. And that's not surprising looking at the 2 efforts. But I will say with this horse was way out in the middle of the track on a super gold rail against way better horses last time. I'm an Andrew Lakeman fan. The guy doesn't start that many horses, but he can train. And I just have to bet a horse like this because at the end of the day, and you have the horse second as well, the favorite is Solo Tonight. And I'll show Solo Tonight's race, I think 2 back, December 29th, I think is what I'm showing. Yeah, he lays over these on the figs they've run, but are you really that scared of this horse? I mean, he's the horse to beat, and I certainly wouldn't not have him as an A in any multi-race bets, but does this horse really have to win?
No, he does not. And I would not want to be resting on any one horse in this field to close out any kind of multi-race wager. And 2, I mean, his best performance was a muddy sealed track at a mile for State Bred Maiden 30, where kind of put in a middle move and then flattened out.
And his worst race, though it was his debut, was the only time he's been in a dry track. Now, I don't think that necessarily says he's moving up on a wet track, but it
makes you
definitely
wonder.
doesn't
Yeah.
suggest to you that you're happy. It's like the opposite of ice road,
Yeah.
you know? So you're going to In a Minute. Jimmy Ryerson.
Yeah, so In a Minute, wow,
on fire.
wholesale changes with this horse, right? So new gelding, getting laces, splinkers coming off, is going to wear a hood again, by the way, for what that's worth. Look at this horse's face. I mean, Agalos the Great, first time out, pretty good. He faced Pandagate, who won the Gander. Elysian Meadows, who was 4th in the Sam F. Davis.
So you're saying he just fell apart in a muddy sealed track and something went wrong because he's been out for 3 months?
He went to the bench.
I've got him 4th.
I'm going to forget that performance when he had trouble early in there. I think, too, there's a very good chance he gets a lead in this race.
Pace Projector has the 4, 10, and 11 as the potential speeds.
Okay.
It's very hard to look at a race like this and be overly
Yeah.
confident on who the speed is going to be.
He has had problems, though, getting out of the gates. I don't love that, and that's going to impact the fact if he is going to get to the front or not. But he's just faced so much tougher in here. And the drop down, I thought, taking out that last race, it's a drop down. Coming back, I think he's going to be sharp, too, off the bench.
And the horses, they're going to take money. Okay, the Adam Rice, Linda Rice first-time starter, who knows? But this is not a barn that wins with a lot of first-time starters. Yeah. I mean, we're to use Adam as Linda, sort of in that sense. Is a half Officer Hutchie, who's actually pretty good. There's probably a little more turf, though, in the pedigree than dirt. That horse is 5-1, because why not? Yeah. Seba M, who you have 3rd and I have nowhere. Okay, gets back to a dry track. The dry track race was not good. It was the debut. The problem I have with Seba M is he has one big figure, right? The second to King Floyd. That number's wrong. That number is proven over time to be wrong, even though he ran well in that race. But then he ran 2 terrible races since being claimed from there, but he is dropping down significantly.
Yeah, I mean, even take away that race and throw it out, fine. Even look at the first start on a dry track. That's
He's not impossible of his other form. I agree.
And yeah, the 1-2 back, that figure puts him in the mix because that was against Better on a straight State Bred Maiden special where he hit the board against that 6-horse field. That puts him right in the mix.
But are you really going to not bet a horse because you're scared of Seba M?
No, absolutely
and that's
not.
why
There's no to be scared
you've got
of
the
here.
4 coming off a terrible race, and I've got the 8 who, listen, Jansen may not be able to run, but this is the first time he's going to be in a race where he has a chance to be effective.
That's true.
So I'll give him a chance in here. Got to pick Andrew Lakeman's horses. I can trade. Greg, it was a pleasure. Greg and I are done. We're going home. We don't know who's doing the show later, America's Day of the Races, but we're taking applications now. Head over to Naira Bets, sign up, and then apply. Bonus $200. We will match the $200 of your initial deposit. Then you can head over when you're at Naira Bets and check out the track stats when you're there as well. We also have a cross-country Big 5. Races 6, 7, and 8 here, and races, 6 and 7 here, 7, 8, 9 at Oakland. All of those races will be on America's Day at the Races, which will be on from 3 to 6:30 today.
Our final show until Sunday.
That's right. Yeah, we will not be doing a show tomorrow, but Greg and I will be in here doing prattles during the day, so we won't leave you completely alone. We are done. Chris Griffin is just getting started. Have a great day.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.